Now, as I said, environments that have been upgraded from previous versions of the Windows operating system, these are the environments that have to be concerned about whether or not their SYSVOL is on the current replication solution or not. If you have a brand new domain, then your domain automatically is running DFSR as its replication solution. If you don't, then you're probably going to want to have to go through this process to figure out whether or not you're on the old solution or not. The good news is that doing the migration, although it can seem complex, really isn't. In fact, there are a lot of articles out there on the internet these days that can make it seem like a much more complex process than it really is. It's really only about 3 commands that you need to go through and a lot of waiting around. I will show you what you got to do. In fact, the process goes like this. Step 1 is to make sure you're healthy. And as with any kind of Active Directory upgrade, anything to do with Active Directory, major changes at all, ensuring that you are indeed healthy is the first step in any kind of process. Now, I'm not going to talk about the get healthy process here when I go through the demonstration here in a second, because I'm going to punt that down to the last topic in this module, because my monitor and manage replication scripts, I've got a bunch of those that also have to do with making sure your Active Directory and replication is healthy. Actually getting SYSVOL moved from FRS to DFSR involves 3 other steps. Step 1 is to migrate to what is called the prepared state. Step 2 to the redirected state, and Step 3 to the eliminated state. Now, the details of what these steps are probably uninteresting for what we're looking for in this series. But recognize that these 3 steps allow us to prepare ourselves for moving to SYSVOL, redirecting to SYSVOL after things have been migrated, and then eliminating the old FRS to put us in the ultimate operational situation, the operational configuration that we'll be in for the rest of time, or until the next DFSR arrives. These 3 states are important because when you go from state to state, the number one thing you have to remember is make the change to the state and then wait a while. How long? A while. The process to actually get yourself from one state to the next can take minutes or hours, or if you have a very large Active Directory, it could take days or more. And so there's nothing to be harmed by entering in the first command that I show you, and then just waiting around for a while. Go for coffee, maybe come back tomorrow, and check to see that your DFSR, there's a little command I'll show you here, is in the proper migration state, if it's actually completely in that state or not. So again, just wait around, because there's nothing harmed by just waiting. Each of these states is going to have just another command that you got to run. I'll show you what these are. Very easy stuff, and again, just wait. Each of these has a little command that you're going to need to know. It's probably a test question as well. I will tell you which ones are maybe test questions and which ones, I don't know. I'm just giving to you because they're handy for the actual operational process when you do it in your own environment. Let's take a look here back at my machine. Okay, I am back here on my Windows 8.1 computer. All right, this is the machine that we've been working with for the entire portion, or the entire learning path so far. Let me go ahead and open up an elevated command prompt here, and I'll use PowerShell because some of the commands we'll be using involve PowerShell. Some of them are PowerShell, some of them are not PowerShell. In fact, strangely enough, all the PowerShell commands work really well on this remote Windows desktop, but the actual command to do the DFSR migration is only found on your Windows server. In fact, just to show you, let me go over to that Windows server, enter PS session, and then let me go to one of the domain controllers, DENDC1. So I can open up, this is now a command prompt on that remote machine, Denver DC1. And I'm doing this because I want to show you that the DFSR MIG command, which is what we're going to use to actually kick off the migration, it has a couple of switches that we need to take a look at. So let me scroll here and show you these 3 switches. These are the 3 that are of most importance for what we're attempting to accomplish here. The first switch is the set global state switch here. And you'll notice that we have exactly these 3 different states, prepared, redirected, and eliminated, that we were talking about before. The 3 different states are required just because of all the activities that have to occur to get us over to DFSR. But before you do that, it's a good idea for you to run the get global state switch to figure out exactly which, or whether or not you've been migrated or not. If you have been migrated, you'll find out that you're in the eliminated phase, so you're already done. If you haven't been migrated, well, then you're going to be in the start phase and you have some work ahead of you. If we run the get global state switch here, so DFSR MIG and then get global state, we'll find out that in this domain, we're already in the eliminated state. Okay, we built this right from Windows Server 2012 R2 machines. There was no previous Active Directory domain here before, and so we're automatically on DFSR. We don't have to worry about anything. If you find out that this is where you're at, well, feel free to move to the next clip because you're done. Now, if you get to any other state, then eliminate it. Or if you're in the start state, well, then you've still got a couple of things that have to occur. And if I go back here to the question mark, I can show you what needs to happen. Now, this set global state, you will begin by putting in set global state space and then a 1. Type in set global state space 1 will put you in the prepared state, and then you have to wait until all the domain controllers in your Active Directory are at state 1. The command that will help you identify where they're at is this get migration state command. This will show the progress of migration across all of your domain controllers. So you can use this to figure out whether or not you're there or not. Don't actually move to set global state space 2 until everything is at 1. Once you're done with 2, move to 3, and once you're done with 3, celebrate because you've completed. So this is essentially the command itself that will allow you to do the migration from FRS to DFSR. But I told you there are a variety of other tasks like getting healthy, making sure that you've got good replication health that you need to accomplish before you even get to that point where you begin the migration. I'll talk more about some of the health commands here in just a second, a little bit when we get to that last topic here in this module. But I do want to show you a couple of other commands that can come in handy as you're going through those health checks, and also really to accelerate some of that pause time between the phases. One of the health checks that you're going to want to go through before you begin the process is ensuring that you have enough free space on all the different domain controllers in your environment. The migration itself is going to suck up some of the disk space on those machines during the process of the migration. So just making sure you have plenty of free space is a good idea. You can go to each computer if you want and check what their free space is. I prefer to use PowerShell. And you can do that with the command gwimi, which is get WMI object class win32 logical disk. And then for the computer name, which would be dendc1, that will give me the 3 drives that are attached to dendc1 and show me that there's plenty of free space there on that C drive. Right? There's the A drive, and then there's the DVD drive, which obviously has no free space. I can get prettier with it if I want and just make a table out of it. So system name, device ID, and I believe it's just free space. And that puts a nice little pretty table here for the 3 drives that are on DE and DC1. In fact, if you wanted to get really crazy, there's a cool command here called get AD domain controller. And if we connect that to the server dendc1 and we do a -filter star, that will actually give us all the domain controllers that exist in our domain. So there is, and I scrolled by really fast, but that's actually all the domain controllers in the domain. The neat part about this command is that I can use this command, the results of this command, to pipe into a for each object command, if I can type today. And then the result of that command being get WMI object, and then class win32 logical disk, and then computer name, $_.name, which is the name property coming in from the get80 domain controller commandlet, and then there pipe that into the table system name, device ID, and then free space. And I think if I do everything correctly here, I should get a nicely structured table of all the different domain controllers that exist in this domain and their total free space. Again, I just love PowerShell, and I apologize for the aside, but this is just a neat little command that you can use for figuring out the free space on all your domain controllers all at once. Now hold on to that awesomeness, because we'll use that again here in just a second, because there's a couple more commands that you can actually lay into place if you want to, in order to speed the process of getting between those different states. I told you that getting between the states takes a while, and there actually is a couple of sort of sledgehammer approach commands that you can tell Active Directory to automatically resynchronize Active Directory without waiting for all the schedules, and then to automatically update the DFSR configuration from that resynchronized Active Directory. So again, this is kind of a sledgehammer approach, but this can help you if you just don't feel like waiting for your Active Directory to reconverge after each state. The first of these commands is repadmin sync all force and then APED. This will actually force push replication of all your Active Directory partitions, ignoring any schedules that you've laid into place. And in order to do that, I need to target one of the domain controllers. So DEN-DC1 will be the domain controller that will push out its version of Active Directory to all the other DCs. And if I've done this correctly, you'll see that, yep, there we go. Replication is in process to DEN-DC2. Replication is in process between 2 and 1. Excellent. Between LAS and Denver. And we're done. Pretty cool there. So really quick resynchronization of Active Directory using that repadmin command. And I'll show you more of the really cool things you can do with repadmin when we get a little later here in this module. The other command that is kind of cool is update DFSR configuration from AD. So now that Active Directory has been reconverged, we now need to update the DFSR configuration from Active Directory. Now, you can do this and target it to any particular computer, like DEM-DC1, for example, and that will run just fine. It will update the DFSR configuration from that computer. But let's actually cheat and reuse that little cool thing that we did just a second ago, where we grabbed all the different domain controllers with this get AD domain controller little commandlet beforehand. Let me just remove everything in the for each object here and replace that with what I need this command to do. So update DFSR configuration from AD, and then dash computer name, and then $_.name, and then let's do verbose here so we can see what's actually going on. If I did that correctly, then we should actually see, yep, there we go. We are updating the DFSR configuration on all of our Active Directory domain controllers all at once. So again, these extra complexities are probably not part of the exam, but they might come in handy for you if you've got a bunch of different activities to do on all your domain controllers at once.